I feel like you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but how would you ultimately define success?
Ooh, that's a great question. I always tie it to, and I sort of, like you said, answered it. I tie it to the word integrity, which is my favorite word because it means so much to me, not just in terms of like how you deal with other people, but how you maintain your integrity to yourself, right? And I believe a successful life is one where you, as often as possible, do the things you say you're going to do, right? Like if you actually imagine the life that you could lead, if you like wrote down on January 1st all the things that you say you're going to do through the year that'll make you happy or whatever, and you do all of them, right? Whatever those things are and whatever the results are. If you constantly are doing things like showing up on time, making sure that your word is your bond to other people, like I imagine you would avoid a lot of heartache and a lot of pain and have like a life that works for you and whatever that is, for people, like, because everyone has different interests and things they want. But I really believe that success is driven by integrity in terms of just always, I mean, again, you're always going to fail, right? Like The Four Agreements is a book that I really like by Don Miguel Ruiz. I don't know if you've read it. It's 140 pages and talks about four basic principles for living a great life. Like one is, keep your word to yourself and to others. Two is don't take anything personal at all. Three is don't make assumptions. And four, which ties it all up, is do your best. Know that you're going to fail at all three of those things regularly, but as long as you're doing your best to do that, that's a recipe for success.
Man, that notion of don't take things personally, I think it's so incredibly important, but it really hits on, for me personally, where I have the biggest struggles between like who I am now and young me. Everything in my life isn't from like, I wanted to achieve stuff. A lot of it came from anger, right? A lot of it was like being told I wasn't going to be anything. And so like that fueled me. But now, and you end up realizing like how destructive that energy can be, especially when you get what you want. It's like, what do you do with it now? And a lot of it ends up being kind of destructive. So actually on the notion or on the note of books, what are like 3 books that you think could change someone's life?
I would say The Four Agreements is number one, top of the list. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is another good one.
I feel like I read half of that a long time ago.
James Comey, whatever. And then the third one is this one's a little more difficult of a read. It's a little more new agey, whatever, but I think it's really, really powerful. And it's called The Power of Intention. Right. Those are 3 they're 3 books just about learning how to sort of take wherever you are in your life and stand 100% responsible for the results of where you are. Okay. And that's difficult for people to do because everyone has stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm only like this because of my parents, or I'm only like this because I grew up poor. I'm like, all right, well, you're here now, right? So the question is, are you going to take responsible for what you do about it? Or are you going to continually use it as a crutch or whatever the case may be, whatever circumstances you decided that stops you from being who you want to be or doing what you want to do? Are you going to allow that to define the rest of your life? Or are you going to choose to take full responsibility right now and design it in the way that you want to design it, whatever your life design is?
Do you have any hurdles in your life at this point? Like, is anything blocking you from something that you'd want to do?
I can honestly say that I feel pretty #blessed. My wife hates #blessed. It's like when she sees that, she just wants to go, like everyone's #blessed, right? But I do feel blessed to have like created a life right now where there's very few things I think of. Like, and actually someone asked me this question a little while ago, like, what would I change in my life right now? And I can think the only thing right now is the adoption process of, bringing, children in, because it's not easy. Like, first of all, it's not easy in this country. It's a long and lengthy process. It's far easier to adopt overseas, which is likely going to be our plan. And I don't think it should be. Like, I understand you want to protect these children and obviously not put them in dangerous situations. But when you have a family or a couple, not say like a couple that's of medium income, right? You're going to charge them $50,000, $60,000 just to adopt a child.
Is that how much it costs here?
I know that in Canada, my brother was looking into it, a few years ago, and it was $50,000 to go through the process, and that's a hefty sum of money when you were supposedly doing something good and helping. But I guess these agencies have to function somehow, so that's one of the ways they do it. But it seems wrong to almost sell children, if you will. It's like it's very QAnon,
Is there anything that kind of like drew you to the idea of adopting?
Um, well, I'm luckily like both me and my wife have always thought that it was something we could do. Like I've seen so, I mean, just I think there was just things that I'd seen on television or just realized like I have an environment in a home here that can help another child already struggling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like if more of us took that on, then it could make a huge difference. Because like when you think of sure a kid who grows up in foster homes or whatever could turn out to have a very happy, successful life, but they're starting off 10 yards behind everybody else in a 100-yard dash, right? So if we can help level the playing field a little bit and give a child like that sort of level an opportunity, and we have that, like I was lucky enough to accumulate enough money and success in my life to be able to do that, and I have love to give to a child. So I'm not so vain that I am somewhat vain, but we all are, that I like need a carbon copy of myself, like, because when you think about it, like having a child is like, ooh, a mini me, like what is that really about when you think about it, right? I know there's joy and connection, but it's also, like I wouldn't think that if I have like a 5-year-old kid that I've had since it was 2, I would be thinking like, that's not my blood. That's not my real son. It's my son,
Yeah.
period. Like it wouldn't matter to me whether it has my DNA.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.